Hi, and good morning, everyone. My name is Albert, and this is Vlogs About Nothing. Thank you very much for taking the time out of your very busy Sunday to join me. I really do appreciate it. I already uploaded one video earlier, and I think this one's gonna go up to post. I am feeling completely normal again. Whatever's gonna happen between my ex and I is gonna happen, and I've accepted that. I really miss her, and I really hope that we're able to reconcile, because it's the only thing in my life I've ever wanted to reconcile, seriously. And so that being said, I'm coming in with some pretty high energy for that reason. You feel me? I feel like once a person accepts, whatever their fate is, it's sort of just like, all right, it's in God's hands. I mean, seriously, you feel me? I'm so much of a person that likes to try to control as many things as I possibly can. And I think, even though I am not afraid to shamelessly admit that publicly, even though it does reflect a part of my personality that is sometimes a little too much, I'm sure, feel the same type of way. Every human being, every sentient Homo sapien, you feel me, like instinctually just wants to try and be safe. And to be safe, you try to control the, circumstances around you and so forth. And then you find out as you get older in life, that like you can do all the planning you want. You can have a team of people behind you doing the planning for you. And, if it makes it to post, you've done your job, you know what I mean? But it always got to make it to post, you know what I mean? And I use that analogy in the modern age just because, like, I try to be a modern dude. You feel me? Not like a cool, like played out unk, you feel me, but more of just like an informed stand-up orator who tries to entertain y'all. And so this morning, the North Valley, okay, is a part of Albuquerque, so think of the Rio Grande River running north-south, and on the valley, right? So most cities, for whatever, I don't think it's shady, but for whatever reason, it's almost as if the world was a big quarry. But anyways, most inhabitants in the modern world reside in what we currently call, like low-level basin valleys and so forth. Also the most unsafe place to heavily populate on the surface of any planet. You might want to stay away from low-lying areas in general, just because the Earth is a big spinning rock, and there's gravity, and hopefully there's not any like global warming or anything, or rising of the sea going on, you know what I mean? Because then all people might be in jeopardy. But that's a question or a topic for a different day, you feel me? I'm not the poster simp boy for Al Gore, but I'll tell you, he was a good vice president. He, was our president for about 7 minutes before the Fox News network decided to challenge the whole thing in 2000. And then, George Bush's brother went ahead and, I'm sure it didn't help any outcome that the Florida Supreme Court judges made as it concerned the final tally count for president. I have no hate, you feel me? I might be the most socialist person ever that you'll ever meet, but I know personally of a lot of good stories from the Bush family. My family, we're all from around here, many generations, and the Bush family, they've actually been stewards to the local community. They're the type of family that, while it might be questioned as to what they do on the rest of the surface of the earth, you feel me? So far as their community goes, in the surrounding Dallas area, West Texas, all the way on to Eastern New Mexico, like, like heavily supported by the Bush generational dynastical wealth that they brought in from old money, right? Because George Bush's father, I think, is an old school guy from Massachusetts, and good old Eastern boys setting up shop here in the Southwest. Ain't nothing wrong with that as long as you're a decent person. And again, you may feel a certain type of way about George W. Bush, but locally, he's a well-liked guy. He's the governor of Texas, you feel me? Like, he's a very well-liked person in this part of the country, regardless of what he may or may not have done. He's a funny guy, seriously. Like, I have never met George W. Bush, but I've known people that have met him personally. Like, I hear great stories about him, you feel me? My brother got to meet George W. Bush. Shout out to my brother Brian. Just a couple months before 9/11, George W. Bush was on that tour to read books to kids, and there's pictures of my younger brother sitting right next to George W. Bush, like as George W. Bush is reading a book to the whole class or whatever. So yeah, you know what I mean? Like, it's been interesting in that regard. But the North Valley, where I'm from, you feel me? And you kind of hear the spiel, the stream of conscious, or whatever AI is deciding to label this oration. You know, I just wanted to give a shout out to where I'm from, you feel me? And I'm from the North Valley. I'm from the North Valley hard, you know, and like also the west side of Albuquerque. And when I say that, I mean, it's such a small community. Like, it's a small community, you know. I'm the type of dude that runs into his old high school principal at Walgreens on a Sunday. You feel me? Like, yeah. And while I understand that most people, you know, may or may not have like a friendly relationship with their principal from 30 years ago, you know what I mean? It's just sort of like, I'm from a place where we all do live like that. Like, we believe in those kinds of things. I grew up in that kind of an environment. I was delivering some food the other night, and I go into this really fancy restaurant. So like, I'm always the worst dressed person when I'm picking up food at like fancy restaurants, right? Because I'm just a delivery driver, you feel me? I'm not trying to kick it. I'm not trying to eat, you feel me? I'm just trying to like get the food and go get my $4, you know what I mean? Like, seriously. But I was in this like fancy place the other day picking up some food, and I ran into one of my buddies that I grew up with, and you know, this is just a couple days after I talked to another buddy of mine that I had grown up with on some bad news, you feel me? But like, recently I've just, you know, have been like living my life, you feel me? And I've noticed that people my age are like finally starting to, you know, make a difference. You know, I will drive around town and stuff, and I see their names on billboards, you feel me? And living that good old American dream and stuff. And here I am, you feel me? Also living my best life, you know, doing my dream and stuff. And it's just, they're worlds apart, you know what I mean? But like, when we see each other, it's like, you know, the same pizza party that we were chilling at is 10-year-olds on the basketball team, you feel me? Like, we know each other's families, we know each other's personal history, you feel me? I caught up with my buddy, and we were already talking about things that are, you know, like things that you only talk to as somebody that you've known and have been comfortable with for 25 years. You know what I mean? Which are like real things, you know, and people trip out on me like that don't know me, you know what I mean? Like, because they think, you know, a certain thing about me or whatever, or like the way that I act, you know, but it's just a reflection of where I'm from. It's a reflection of the people that I grew up with. It's a reflection of the people that have taught me all of the things that I know, you know what I mean? And like, I paid attention, you feel me? I really did. I paid attention to all of them teachers, all the bad ones, all the good ones. There ain't nothing that, you know, went in one ear and out the other, except for you know, hateful things. You know, I'm not a fan of hateful things, seriously. You know, it's just so bad for the world, and the world's already a bad place, you feel me? So I've just always felt like, always, that like, you know, I deal with my own stuff, you know, we all got our own personal problems, but like, you know, try to be decent, you feel me? Like, the world's already a really odd place sometimes, you know what I mean? And like, it can get real awkward real quick. And so I'm happy that I've learned all of these basic building blocks. You know, I've been able to ascertain these basic building blocks in life, just because, you know, in moments of like triumph and in moments of despair, it's just always nice being able to understand that you are a part of a team, you feel me? And that even if you try to be the leader of that team, and, you know, you're really going out of your way to try and to be that person, to have that role, you know, again, life is about roles, and I'm just auditioning for mine, you feel me? I have been my entire life, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that, you know? And I just drive around my hometown, you know. I haven't been here in my own hometown for longer than a month, close to 8 months, you know what I mean? And this is something very special to me. As I get older, I look around and I see things start to change. I see my own maturity, you know, like peak up a little bit, you feel me? And all that stuff is good news, you know. It's about time, you feel me? I mean, just because it hadn't always been like that. And, I don't know what it is about life and, what happens to you and stuff. All I know is that, like, right now I'm feeling pretty good, you feel me? And, like, by every account of all of the words, I shouldn't be by the account of that word, just because, it has been a tough couple weeks, but, where I'm from, the North Valley and the west side of Albuquerque, shout out, you feel me? Like, seriously, great community, great place to raise your family, do whatever, you know what I mean? Come kick it, great food, really friendly people. Don't come on no tourist trap, you feel me? This is a good place where good people call home and have been calling it home for way before Uncle Sam decided to put up the American flag, you know what I mean? And that's cool. We've integrated well, the indigenous population, like, all right, fine, you feel me? Like, America's a cool place, the government isn't so friendly, but the country as a whole is something that stands for more than just any fascist government could ever possibly stand for. It stands for, every person that's born, and it defends their right to exist. Seriously, because without that, good luck, it's not easy. It's not an easy thing to do. And, even sometimes the fascists, they deserve a little appreciation too, as it concerns, the very, very, very basic things that most people are allowed to have access to. Again, there's no such thing as a good fascist. So, like, I mean, in and of itself, that still doesn't change the fact that we, still continue to prevent other people from having the very basic things in life because we feel like it, because we don't like you, because you're the wrong color skin, you feel me? You believe in the wrong God, dude, the wrong story, like, whatever it is, they'll find a reason, you know what I mean? And that's a real big thing to me. Hey guys, I really appreciate you watching my videos, you feel me? I really do. I don't think I've been through a more rough few weeks, since I can remember. Seriously, and it's taught me a lot about myself, you feel me? And I'm sitting back now, and it's sort of like, it really was a good experience. Like, overall, I have gone up and down just like anyone would, but I really did enjoy being with that girl, and I really hope that we're able to fix it, but if we're not, like, I had a really good time. I really did. And, I have no regrets. Not with you. And, the thing is like, sometimes people might, feel a certain type of way about how I talk on camera, or, whether or not I'm talking specifically to them, you feel me? And, like, I get it, but, like, also, it's the only way I really know how to get to people, you feel me? Like, with with my feelings, and so I don't mean no embarrassment or shame, you feel me? Like, seriously, I really don't. Thousands of videos, thousands of days, you feel me? Like, this is a big part of who I am, and I've really tried to respect as much as I can, as it concerns certain specific things, but, we'll figure it out, you feel me? I mean, I hope that you're well, and to everyone else, I hope that you guys are well too, and that, if you've ever made any mistakes and you have an opportunity and it's right to make it right, go ahead and do that. It's the hardest thing you're ever gonna do, but I mean, so was getting with it the first time, you feel me? I mean, if you look at it like that, it should be a little bit easier the next time. I don't know. It sucks to fall. You ride a bicycle, you learn how, you fall, you get upset, you don't want to do it again, I get it. But if you did it, like, it might turn out to be a really good ride and stuff. And so I hope that you guys have a really good Sunday, seriously, and take care of yourselves and rep where you're from, you feel me? In a positive, enlightening, non-gang-like way. You understand what I'm saying? Seriously. Wherever you're from, like, that's where you're from, and own it, like, because you can't change it, and be good to the community, and remember where you came from so that you can go back and give back when you're doing good, you know what I mean? Like, real good. So I hope that you guys have a really good day. Thank you for watching my show. Bye.